be referring to this document, okay? If you were in one of my classes, you received a copy at the appropriate time, or you will. If you wish, you may pause the video at this time to copy this and take notes or whatever, okay? So there are the steps. Step 1 is to find the highest perfect square that divides the number under the radical. That is called the radicand. So for the square root of 40, I will take 40 and divide it by 4, the perfect square 4. The division result is 10. Okay? And 10 is not divisible by any number on this list. So I'm going to do the square root of 4 and the square root of 10. Please be aware, folks, that half of all even numbers are divisible by 4. Half of all even numbers are divisible by 4. Next, I'll take the square root of 4, that's 2, and then I leave the square root of 10 alone. Okay? All right, now for the square root of 54, I'm going to move these down. Okay, I'll deal with these later. Okay, square root of 54. Now, folks, 54 is not divisible by 4. So 54 divided by 4 is 13.5. It doesn't divide cleanly. Okay? So, but it is divisible by 9. 54 divided by 9 is 6. And 6 is not divisible by any perfect square. Okay? So square root of 9, square root of 6, 3, square root of 6. I believe I had example 3 being the square root of 112. Okay, so I'll try 4 first. 112 divided by 4 is 28. Okay? And 28 is divisible by 4. Okay? So since 28 is divisible by 4, that's not high enough. Okay? So I'll try 9. 112 divided by 9 doesn't divide cleanly. Okay? Next I'll try 16. 112 divided by 16 is 7. Okay? So 7 isn't divisible by any number on this list. So I'm going to be doing the square root of 16 and the square root of 7. That's 4 square root of 7. Okay, example 4. I have the square root of 180. 180 divided by 4 is 45. Okay? But 45 is divisible by 9. So it's not high enough. Next, I'll try 180 and divide it by 9. I got 20. Okay? But 20 is divisible by 4. So I didn't go high enough. Now I'll try 180 divided by 16. Doesn't divide cleanly, 11.25. Okay? Next I'll try 25. If you can't already see, it doesn't divide. 7.2, doesn't divide. Okay, so now I'll try 36. 180 divided by 36 is 5. And 5 is not divisible by any number on this list. So I'll have the square root of 36 and the square root of 5. Square root of 36 is 6. So I have 6 square root of 5. A final example is example 5. The square root of 42. 42 isn't divisible by any of these. 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. Okay? 42 divided by 9 is 4 2/3. Okay? 42 divided by 16 is 2.625. Okay? And 25 is over halfway there. So it's just simply the square root of 42. Okay? Next, I'll do this. Example 1. I had the cube root of 40. Well, the cube 40 is divisible by 8. So, 40 divided by 8 is 5. Okay? So I got the cube root of 8 and the cube root of 5. That gives me 2 cube root of 5. Okay? Example 2. The cube root of 54. Well, that's divisible by 27. So I got the cube root of 27, and 54 divided by 27 is 2. So I have 3 cube root of 2. And then finally, I also have an example 3. Okay? Hope it fits. I got the cube root of 2125. I'm going to try the 125. Okay? So 2125 divided by 125 is 17. Okay? So I have the cube root of 125 and the cube root of 17. And the cube root of 125 is 5. So I have 5 cube root of 17. Okay. Next, I'm going to involve variables. Perfect cubes after 1. 8, 27, 64, 125, 216, and so on. Okay? I'm not going to put any more of those on the board. Now, facts. A plus B over C is equivalent, or a mixed number AB over C is A plus B over C, i.e. 3 1/2 equals 3 plus 1/2. Okay? X times A plus B could be writable as x to the A. Well, let me put it a different way. X to the A times x to the B is x to the A plus B. Okay? And so x to the A, x to the A plus B could be writable as x to the A times x to the B. I'll put a times dot between these two. i.e. x to the 3 1/2 could be written as x cubed times x to the 1/2. Okay? Here's another fact. Square root of x is x to the 1/2. Cube root of x is x to the 1/3. And the cube root of x squared would be x to 2/3. We're going to be using these facts for more complicated problems. So for example, I have the square root of 50x to the 6th y to the 9th. I would split this up. Let me do this as example 1. So I would split this up into the square root of 50 times the square root of x to the 6th times the square root of y to the 9th. Okay? And I would simplify this. 50 is divisible by the perfect square, 25. And 50 divided by 25 is 2. I'm going to take x to the 6th and put it over 2. Okay? Here's another one. Square root of x to the p would be x to the p over 2. And the nth root of x to the p would also be the pth root of x, or the x to the p over nth. So let me start this problem over. I would split this up in the square root of 50 times square root of x to the 6th times the square root of y to the 9th. Okay? And 50 is divisible by the perfect square of 25. So I got the square root of 25 and the square root of 2. Okay, because 50 divided by 25 is 2. This would be x to the 6 over 2. This would be y to the 9 over 2. Okay? So what will happen here is I will have 5 square root of 2. This simplifies as x cubed. And this simplifies. I'm going to take 9 divided by 2. I get 4.5. Okay? So that's 4.5. Okay? Now, this is going to be 5 square root of 2 times x cubed times, I will split this up using this rule right here as y to the 4th times y to the 1/2. Okay? Then it's 5 square root of 2 times x cubed times y to the 4th. I'm going to convert this back to the square root of y. And then finally, the end result will be the numbers outside the radicals times themselves, 5x cubed y to the 4th, and the radicands times themselves, square root of 2y under the radical. Okay? Next, I'm going to put up an example 2. I have the cube root of 48 x to the 14th y to the 6th. Okay? I will now split this up into the cube root of 48 times x to the 14th root, or the cube root of x to the 14th, times the cube root of y to the 6th. Okay? This will be, the 48 is divisible by the perfect cube 8. So I got the cube root of 8, and 48 divided by 8 is 6, times x to the 14 over third, 14 thirds, times y to the 6 over 3. Okay? And the cube root of 8 is 2, and this leaves me the cube root of 6, times x to the, I'll take 14 and divide it by 3. 14 divided by 3, 4.4 4.666666 blah, 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 repeating. That's 4 2/3. 4 2/3 times, okay, I don't think that's very clear. I'll rewrite it. 4 2/3. Times y squared. Okay, so this will be 2 cube root of 6 times, I'll split this up into x to the 4th times x to 2/3 times y squared. Okay? And the final, and then I'm going to convert that back to a radical. So this will be the cube root still of x squared times y squared. And then the final result is I will simply multiply the numbers outside the radical, 2x to the 4th y squared times the cube root of 6x squared. All right, and I'm done.